Do you see it, Joseph? You see the screen?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. I apologize for that.
Yeah, so
All right.
Joseph, I can go to the report. You want to show the dashboard, right?
Yes. So when you log into the system, one way to access dashboards is to go to the All tab, which is to the right of the dc.gov login. Now, I do see the screen. Is there anyone that's not seeing the screen right now besides the individual that popped that message?
Yeah, I think everyone can see.
Okay. All right. So if we go down to the filter, actually the filter navigator there, when you type in the word reports, for example, what it'll do is it'll take you directly to the reports header where we have a number of options. We're going to, and on mine, it actually looked a little different. So go ahead and type in the word dashboard in the navigator.
Yeah, we are already on the dashboard. That's why it's not showing anything.
Technically, okay. So then we'll take it from this approach. Depending on your permissions, you may see an option to go directly to a dashboard from the navigator bar. If you don't, and your landing page happens to be a dashboard, there are a couple of options with which you can use to access additional dashboards or even create them. To the left of the label where it says CMDB dashboard, there's 4 squares. When you click on that, that's going to take you to the dashboard's overview. The dashboard's overview will have 4 tabs. You have recent, owned by me, shared with me, and all. We'll start with all because that's going to have most of the dashboards that you will have access to on display. Each of these dashboards will have a title such as change overview, incident overview, ITIL dashboard, and so on. And the screen disappeared. All right. So these little cards that display the dashboards also have a couple of other pieces of information. One of them is a little bubble where in this case most of them say other or CMDB dashboard. That is what we refer to as our group or grouping filter. Below that we have who owned or created the dashboard. So you'll see many of these dashboards were actually created by the system administrator. Over time, as individuals create dashboards, their names will appear here. On the to the left of all, we have shared with me. The shared with me tab will display all of the dashboards that have been shared with me as an individual, as a member of a group, or based on specific roles that I have in the system. To the left of that, we have owned by me. And owned by me will only display dashboards if you've created a dashboard. And that's something that we're going to take care of in just a short bit. The very first tab that I skipped over was recent. Recent will display a list of the dashboards that you've recently accessed. So if we were to go back to all for a moment, we're going to add to that recent list. So go to all and go ahead and click on Incident Overview. It's the third one on the top row. When you access that, what you're going to find is a typical dashboard. Each dashboard will consist of a number of cards or widgets. These widgets will contain information. As you can see here, there's a lot of numbers that are on the screen. So this particular dashboard contains widgets that define how many records there are based on the title. So incidents open today, unassigned incidents, incidents not updated for 7 days. But essentially, you can click on any one of these numbers and it will take you to a list view of those records. So if we click on 429, for example, we should see a list of 429 incidents, and this will give you a broader view of what that widget is trying to explain or provide information on. So clicking on the back arrow from your browser will take you back a step to allow us to see our dashboard once again. If you click on the back arrow once more, it should take us back to our list of dashboards. The other arrow. And one more. There was a question. Someone said they only see Kiara's screen as opposed to what's on the display. I'm not sure how to address that one, but I just wanted to make someone aware that that was asked. All right, so if there are a lot of dashboards on the screen, we do have a couple of ways to filter these out. We'll start on the, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. Let me try to reshare my screen again, Joseph. Bear with me 1 second. And can someone, if in the chat, whoever can't see my screen, let me know, and I'll try to reshare it.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so if we go to the search dashboard field and then type in the word incident, for example, what you're going to find is a list of incident dashboards. If you go ahead and clear that, clear the incident search, and go to group filter. Clicking on the drop down for the group filters, you'll see others at the top of that list. Remember, I mentioned that the dashboards have a title, they have a grouping, and then they have the person that created that dashboard. So when we selected other, you'll see a list of only the dashboards that have a group filter of other. You can use any of the options from the drop down, and you can see specifically those dashboards. So another example could be the CMDB dashboard, which when you select it will show quite a few. So this is how you would be able to search for dashboards. If you go back to recent now, since we've actually accessed one of the other dashboards, we should now see 2 on that list. Okay. Before we go on to create a dashboard from scratch, I wanted to see if anybody has any questions. I still do not have the ability to share. The share button is shaded.
Yeah, Joe, go ahead. Tell me what you want me to do. I can.
Okay. All right. Okay, so click on the Create a Dashboard button, which is on the far right-hand side. And what you'll see is the dashboard new record form. It's a very basic form, and you'll see that if there the required fields are denoted with an asterisk. In this case, there's one required field that is empty, that's name, and there's a required field that's automatically populated, and that is owner. By default, any dashboard that you've created will be designated as active, so that checkbox will appear next to the active field. If you define a dashboard based on a number of groups or something like that, you can actually define an order. So that's what that order field is. You could say it's going to appear first on the list or second on the list or third on the list. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a dashboard and we're going to give the title Training Dashboard as the name. So under name, go ahead and type in Training Dashboard. And rather than clicking Submit, which simply will save and take us out of this dashboard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click under Related Links and select View Dashboard. And what that's going to do is it's going to take me to a blank slate where I have no information on the dashboard itself. So once we do that, you'll see a message in the middle. It says Add Widgets using the widget picker. So this is where we're going to begin. There's 3 buttons in the upper right-hand corner. The first one is where we would add our widgets. The second one is to share. The third one is configuration. So let's click on configuration first so that you can see some of the options. What you're going to find is that you have the ability to add multiple tabs to a dashboard. So you can have a dashboard called training that may have one tab for incident, one tab for change, one tab for problem, and so on and so forth. Also, you have the ability to change the color background on your dashboard. So you'll see right now the default is white. If you wanted to pick a different color, you can do so. I find it a little distracting, but it would actually stand out. If you're looking at it, you'll say, oh, that's mine because I created one with a red background. So we'll go ahead and show you this is what it would look like with nothing else on the screen. So below that, we have apply quick layouts. And the quick layouts will show you that you can define whether you want like small widgets to appear, so 9 of them, they would appear in this format. Or if you have 3 tables, it could show up with 3 rows across and so on down the line. So we'll go ahead and click on the middle one there with the 3 rows. And what we're going to do, we'll add widgets to this dashboard in the form of rows. So when we click on the plus button, you'll see that it says add widgets. The widget category is what we would use to define what content we want to add to the dashboard. By default, it lists favorites, which is the first on the list. So if we keep favorites on the list and scroll down a little bit with our cursor, we'll see that there are 4 filters that we can choose from. If you click on the arrow for the first or the second one, it doesn't matter which one. When you click on that, you'll have a snapshot view of that widget. If you click add, it's going to automatically add it to the dashboard. And so now we have one filter added to the dashboard. If you click on the back arrow to the left of the word widget, what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to add additional content. So clicking on the drop down next to widget category, we're going to pick reports. So this option will automatically default to only show reports that have been created by me. If you don't have any reports, and you would see on the list, it says hashtag new report, and then it has a list of reports. If you've not created any reports on your own, all you would see is the hashtag new report. What we're going to do is we're going to change that filter where it says created by me, sorted by last updated. And when you click on that little filter icon, the funnel to the left of the word created, we're going to change that to say created by anyone. And then we can define what table we want to add from the report list. So we'll say select a table. And when we do that, we then have to select the table that we want to display. So type in the word incident here. And as you could see, if you've done this in the past, it is going to show recent choices. So we have incident and universal request. Go ahead and select incident. And what'll happen is you can then click apply. We're going to say sorted by last updated. That's fine. It could be sorted by any other option, but we're good with last updated. So when you click apply, you should now see a list of incident reports. All right, so now we have our list. We'll go ahead and pick Tier 1 assignment groups for incidents, which is the 5th report on the list. And when you click on this, it should give us a snapshot view again. When we click add, what's going to happen is it's going to be added to the top of this dashboard. So the previous entry that we added is now pushed to the bottom. Let's say that we're done adding content to this dashboard. If you click on the, or if you hover, I should say, over onto the title of each of the widgets on the left, where it says Tier 1, on the right-hand side, you'll see there's 4 icons. There's an up-down arrow, there's a refresh button, there's a gear, and then there's an X. If you added, I was going to say accidentally, if you added a widget in error, you can always click on it and it will remove that particular widget from the dashboard. We'll leave it as is, so we're not going to do that. The refresh button, however, can be used to refresh the contents of the screen. What we are going to do is we're going to move one of these widgets on top of the other. So the incident creation totals call center T1, we're going to move to the top and move the one that's on the top to the bottom. You can only do this while you have the widget panel open on the right-hand side. So click on the bottom panel and then drag it up to the top. So put the cursor back where you were. There you go. And then when you move it, you'll see that it's now changed the order. All right. Next, we'll go ahead and click on the X next to widget. And let's say that we're done creating our dashboard. If we go to the Share button to the right of the Add Widgets button, you'll see that we have the ability to share this dashboard. Now, this is important because by default, the dashboard will only be viewed by the person that created this dashboard. If we wanted to share this with individuals or groups, we would need to add the name of the individual or the name of the group. So if your system has group names, you can go ahead and put in that group. So let's say, for example, we want to add this to the Octo Helps call center. You can click in that plus field and then add recipient. It would be the name of the group, Octo Helps, and you'll see that a list of matches will appear. So select the call center, and then you can add additional groups as needed. By default, this is telling us that we can send an email invitation to these groups or these individuals. You don't have to. You could just send a message out to everybody and say, hey, there's a new dashboard, or you can make it a surprise when they log in and they'll see it available the next time. But either way, we'll go ahead and leave the send an email invitation checkbox on, and then we'll put a message that says there is a training dashboard made available to your groups. And you don't have to type the whole thing if you don't want to. I don't want this to be a typing class necessarily. The last thing that we would do is we would define what rights the recipients have with this dashboard. There's can view, which is default, which means they can only view the dashboard. They can't modify it. If, on the other hand, you click on that drop down where it says can view, you'll see that we can offer them the option to edit. As the owner of a dashboard, I generally don't want to share a dashboard and let people modify it. So I would leave it as can view only. And when I'm done, I would then click share. When I click share, that dashboard will now be shared with those groups. If we wanted to confirm that, we can find a user from one of those two groups, we can impersonate them, and then we can confirm that. Otherwise, when we go back to the 4 squares, and did you want to impersonate someone else? You probably couldn't from here. Just go to the 4 squares, and now when you go to the second tab owned by me, you should see that new dashboard that we've created. All right, so let's click on the dashboard again. And let's see some of the other options that we have available for modifying or managing this dashboard. On the far left-hand side, there's a 3-line icon. We call it a hamburger button. When you click on it, you'll see that you have the ability to delete this dashboard. So you've created it, you can delete it. You can also duplicate the dashboard. You would make a copy of this. If you wanted to copy the URL to the dashboard, this will save it to a notepad or something like that, and then you can send a message to someone, paste the dashboard URL, and then they can access it. Alternately, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Create Tab option. Now, the Create Tab option exists in two places. It exists on this hamburger button, and it also exists on the Configuration button on the far right-hand side, where you see the Create tab. So either way, you can create additional content by clicking on Create Tab. So we'll pick either one, it doesn't matter. And when you do click Create Tab, a second tab will appear on the dashboard. Now, it doesn't know what you're going to name this, so it just calls it New Tab and New Tab 2. If you click on the little pencil, it will allow you to edit the name. So in this case, let's backspace the New Tab 2 and let's put Change. Let's go to the first tab, and instead of it saying New Tab, let's change it to say Incident. All right. So now let's go back to the second tab, and let's go ahead and add at least one widget. So go to the plus button, and we'll go to Reports, and we will pick again, we're going to change the filter so that it says Change. So created by anyone. And we'll specify a table and we'll say change. And it doesn't look, we'll use the universal request. Let's do that one instead if you want. It doesn't matter to me. We can always change the title of the dashboard. All right, so now let's go ahead and pick the third report. This report should be a bar chart. And click Add. Now, we can always, as I mentioned, change the name of the tab. Let's go ahead and change that to UR. So you could see that when you are creating, whether it's a dashboard or report, there may be a lot of work in progress where you're making changes on the fly, and you're going to see me do that throughout this process today. So now that we've created a dashboard with two tabs, we can go ahead and we'll say we're finished. So we're going to go ahead and click the X to the right of the widget panel to close that panel. And before we move on, I wanted to see if anybody has any questions. And I don't know if there's any questions in the chat or any comments, but I'll wait for a second to see if there are.
Yeah, we have one question about exporting reports from a dashboard.
Exporting reports from a dashboard?
Yes.
Can you export one of the tabs from a dashboard?
All right, so let's see. If we go to the incidents dashboard or the incidents tab on this dashboard, the first is a list. It looks like all you can do is just view that information. If you right click somewhere in the white space, I'm not sure what we're going to see. It doesn't look like there's anything. So you can't export what you see here. You would actually export from the list via the navigator, or you can run reports independent of the dashboard.
Does that answer your question? I believe that question was from Aquili. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Did that answer your question? You can give a thumbs up if it did. And someone's asking Joseph if
So
they can show us.
you want me to show you how to do it from a list view as opposed to the dashboard?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and do that. on the filter, we'll go ahead and type in incident to go to the list of incidents or incident views. And from here, depending on what we see on the screen, we can create a custom list and then we can export that. So let's go to the filter. And what was the filter? And I don't know if it matters. Well, I'll show you how to create a custom filter fairly easily. So let's go to state, is, and then pick in progress. And whenever you click run, you'll see that your list changes over time. We can also go to the actual columns, and let's say on the column for category, go to the right of hardware scanner, the category value that says hardware scanner, first line, down to the actual value, right click. Does anything happen when you right click? Okay, so then click on the vertical ellipsis there. From here, we will say export, and then you can export it to an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV file, JSON, or PDF. If you pick PDF, it will allow you to export either to landscape or portrait. And it also shows detailed landscape or detailed portrait. The difference is if you pick detailed as an option, it's going to print a list of all of the incidents on the list in its entirety. So if there's 2013 of them, it's going to print a list of those 2013. The detailed portion means it's then going to go to each of those 2013 and open it up the full incident view and print all of those. So we're talking tens of thousands of pages probably. So be careful with which option you choose, because landscape would just give you the list of 2013 and you can do what you want with that. But if you do detailed, it's going to open up every one of them after the list of 2013. Was that what you're looking for in terms of exporting a list? Okay. There was another question that I saw pop up on the screen.
Yeah, let me get that for you. So next question is, I believe Ken answered that one. Can you go to the UR or the incident from the dashboard?
Okay. So let's go back to the dashboard. You may want to click on the logo and it should take us to where we were. Okay. And what was the question from here? Is it to access the records? Because all you have to do is click on the link and it'll take you to that particular record. So it's an active list or an active report. Was that what you were looking for? Or was there a follow-up to getting to this point?
I think you answered her question. She gave the thumbs up. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. All right. So if there aren't any other questions or comments on dashboards, I would like to go to reports. All right, so from the All tab, we'll type reports in the filter. That should take us to a list of options. There are 3 to choose from. Getting started, I never use. What that is more or less a ServiceNow document or some very complex method for getting where you want to go. View run will allow us to view a list of the reports that we have access to, run those reports, and print them out if needed. And then create new would be used to create a new report from scratch. You can actually do the create report part from view run. So we're going to do everything from view run. So go ahead and click on view run. On selection, you have 4 tabs. So it's somewhat similar to dashboards. The My Reports tab will show a list of reports that have been created by you. So you should see under Created By your name, in this case, Kiara. If you go to Group, it will show a list of reports that are shared for specific groups. If you go to Global, this will be a list of reports that are globally available that you have access to. And then the last one is the All option. So if you click on All, it's a combination of global reports, group reports, and My Reports. On the far left-hand side, we'll stay with All for a moment. On the far left-hand side, you will see a pencil. That little pencil icon denotes the capability of the individual that's logged in. Administrators or report administrators have the ability to modify out-of-the-box reports or anybody's reports. You're good where you are. So that little button means that you can edit this report. The icon to the right of that, the little star, is where we can actually make a report a favorite. So when you click on the star, it'll make it solid as opposed to a hollow star. Go ahead and click on the star, please. And when you click on it, it'll now be designated as a favorite. So go ahead and click on that there. Now, when you, and then to the right of that, we have our type. There are a lot of different types of reports, and I'll touch on all the different types in a moment. But just know that the icon gives you an idea of what kind of a report we're looking at. So the 42 in a circle essentially means that it's a report that has a number in it. And in this case, it would be the number would be based on the number of PPM users active in the last 30 days, or at the very bottom, the number of active incidents older than 7 days. You'll have bar charts and pie charts, and lists, which is most common, will be the ones that look like the 3 of the last 4 on the bottom of this list. Now, depending on your permissions, you may see a line that says number of rows removed from this list by security constraints. If you see that, that means that there are some reports that have been created that you simply don't have access to. So out of the 20 reports on the first page, Kiara can only see 9 of them. So there's 11 that she cannot see. At the very bottom, you'll see how many reports there are in the system. In this case, there's 964, and we're looking at the first 20. The single arrow to the left or to the right will take you to the next page or back a page. The double arrow will take you all the way to the very end of the list or to the very beginning. From this view, if we wanted to search for specific reports, we could go to the search field. Now, not the search field at the very top, that's a global search, but the search underneath in the white area is a search specific to reports. So from here, let's say that I'm only interested in looking at incident reports. So we're going to type in the word incident here. Now, the result is going to have 3 options. We're going to see report title contains, the word that we typed in, or the first 5 reports with the word incident in it, or the first 5 tables where incident is in the name. Let's say that we want to focus on reports for the incident table. So we'll pick incident under the table list. When we do that, our list should change from 964 to, if we scroll down, and we may not need to scroll down, it means that there's less than 20 on this list. So we now have 20 reports. If we wanted to narrow this down even further, we can go back into the search and we can couple the search with something else. So let's go ahead and put in the word assignment. When we do that, we'll see report title contains or one report name. So there's only one that we should see, although I dispute that. I think there's going to be 2 that appear. But when you click on report title contains, you'll now see a list. Did you remove the first option, or are they still both there? Okay, they're still there. Good. So what I wanted to show you is that when you do add another search option, the first one remains, and it's going to use both of those to provide you with a more narrow list of results. So we now have 3, 6, 9 reports, and you can pick from any one of these. Clicking on, let's say, the middle one there, either open incidents by assignment or my groups, whichever one. When you click on the report, what will happen is it will open up in the report console view, which, depending on your permissions, you'll either see this as a result, or if you don't have the capability of creating a report, you will just see the little graphic where it says open incidents by assignment. So you would only see the table with nothing else on the screen. So let's click on the back button to the right or to the left of the word edit. And let's come back here. So go ahead and click the X on the search where it says title contains assignment and table. And now what I wanted to show you is if you favorited a number of reports, you can see a list of your favorites simply by clicking on the star at the very top to the left of the word type. When you do that, a little blue bar is going to appear and it says favorites filtering is on, and you'll only see the reports that you favorited. So if you wanted to just see your list of favorites, click on the star. If you want to remove your list of favorites, you can either click on the star again, or you can click on the X where it says favorites filtering is on. Either one is fine. All right. So let's go to my reports for a moment. And I'll stop here for a second to see if anybody has any questions.
It looks like the question chat is all clear right now.
Okay. All right. Everyone able to follow okay? Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a report, and I'm going to start with something basic, and then we'll create one with a little more complexity. So if you see the create a report option on the far right-hand side, you can click on that, and you'll be taken to the report console. Far right-hand side. All right. So when you click create a report, this is what you're going to see. On the far right-hand side, you'll see 4 tabs: data, type, configure, and style. Under each tab, we're going to populate as much information as we need in order to generate a report on the right-hand side. You'll see an asterisk to the left of each of these 3 fields, which means these are all required in order for us to generate a report. Now you can put in your report name here where it's highlighted, or you can actually enter it directly from the report title field in the middle. Either one will work. So for this, let's go ahead and put in training dash incident resolved only. Resolved. State resolved. We'll change it later if you don't. It's okay. All right. So now that we have our name, let's go to source type. Under source type, there's going to be a couple of options. We have table and data source. If we leave it at table, then we would need to pick the table that we're going to create the report against. And table represents incident, change, universal request, and so on down the line. Data source is a different animal altogether, and I'll show you that after we create a report using table first. So let's stick with table for now. And let's go ahead and use incident as our table. When you do that, on the hand side, we now see the name of the report. We see the table. It says incident, and then we have a filter. That filter is all. what the result will be is that all of, you don't need to click that just yet, all of the incidents in the system will appear. If you wanted to see proof of that, there's a run button in the far right-hand side that when you click on it will show you all of those tickets. And I don't know if it's like 3,000 or something like that, but here's a list of everything. This is obviously not what our end result is going to be. I'm just showing you that incrementally you can see the result of what you've done up to this point. So at the very top on the left-hand side to the right of the word data, you'll see type. You can click on type, or you can go to the bottom and click next. Either one will take you to the next step. Type is where we define what kind of a report we want to generate. As you can see, there's a lot to choose from. Under bars, you have bars that are going to be one of those four options. We have pies and donuts. We have, if you scroll down, there should be a scroll bar somewhere in there. Maybe just use your down arrow. Is there no arrow for you to scroll down from all the different types of reports? Okay. So under filter, the visualizations, put other in the filter. All right. So other is where you find the list option, and that's the default view. That's the one that's highlighted on the left-hand side. You'll also see very different types of charts that you can choose from. So you can make your report graphical or tabular. We're going to stick with the list since that's what most everybody wants to see, as they want to see the results up front. Next, when we go to configure, we would see the options that we have available as it relates to our report. The very top option is choose columns. By default, we see number, opened, short description, caller, priority, and so on down the line. If we wanted to add to that list or remove columns, this is where we would go. So click on choose columns, and then we would see a list of available columns on the left and the columns on display to the right. If you see a field that has a plus next to it, so we have assignment group with a plus and assign to with a plus. We also see caller with a plus. What this does is this allows us to grab information that's related to that field. So clicking on the assignment group, you'll see this little button that looks like a chart of some kind or a diagram. Clicking on that will expand assignment group and show you all of the fields that are related to the assignment group field. So let's say that when we scroll down, there may be a manager field. So there's a manager. If we wanted to have the name of the manager of the assignment group, then we can add that just by clicking on the arrow, and it now appears at the bottom, assignment group dot manager. ServiceNow refers to this as dot walking, just technical speak there. Let's say after adding this, we want to move the order of the columns. So highlight assignment group dot manager, and then click the up arrow and put it behind assignment group. And then when we're done, we would click OK. What will happen is if there's a manager for the assignment group after we click run, because we have to click run every time we make a change. If there's a manager, it would appear in that column. And depending on whether you have that set up or not is another story. So we're not seeing the all right. So the other option we have under configure is group by. By default, we're not grouping by anything, but we have the option to group by logical fields like priority, state, category, assignment group, and so on. So if you wanted to group by assignment group, just click on assignment group. and click on Run again, and you're going to see a much different view to this report. It'll be stacked by assignment group. You can see the system's working pretty hard to get this result for us. And that's because there's so many so many records. All right, so here's our result. We have 1,109 records that do not have an assignment group. We have one record for application configuration support. We have, and so on down the line. If you click on one of those little arrows, it will show just the records for that group. If you click on the arrow at the very top to the left of number, it'll expand all of those records and show all of the results based on assignment group. If you wanted to remove the grouping, then go back to group by, and instead of assignment group, put none. And then click run again. And there was, while this is going on, someone did have a question that I noticed.
Yes, the question is, can you show how to do a specific assignment group?
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's see. Let's go to style. I'll touch on this. It'll be very short on style because I don't necessarily mess with what the results look like. You can change the title to report to say report only. Instead of report only, you may say always or never. You have chart title if you wanted, chart title in pixels, the chart title color. So I don't really touch on any of that. That's more cosmetic. What I am more interested in is now that we've got our report, let's create a filter. So the filter is that little funnel to the left of the word all. This is where we're going to define truly what it is we were looking for. And the original intent of this report was that we were going to look at resolved incidents. So the first column from our conditions is the field. The second condition, or the second field, is our operator, and the third is what we're looking for. So the first one, let's go ahead and type in the word state. As you type in the word, you'll see that the list narrows down. So we're going to pick state, and then our operator list is not, is one of, and so on down the line. We're going to stick with the basics on this round, and we're going to stick with is. And then because this is from a drop-down list, you're only going to get to pick from what you see on the screen here. So we're going to pick resolved. Now when you click run, we should only see resolved incidents. And that list is significantly less than what we had originally. Now to the question that came up in chat, we're going to filter against an assignment group as well. So now we'll pick and to the right, and we're going to say assignment group is, and then we'll pick if there's any group in particular you want, we can pick one. GIS happens to be that the one that was recently done, so we'll work with that. When you click run, you'll now see your list of results. So if we scroll down, let's see what, click on the X where we have our filtering so that we can, there's only one record. Okay, let's do one that has more results. That'll work. So our results here are how many records? Probably several hundred. So there's 149. All right. If we wanted to, we could say we're looking for a result of resolved incidents for this group or this group. So what we could do is if we click or to the right on the second line, what it'll do is it'll mimic the assignment group is, and then we would put in a different group. So the assignment group would be either OctoHelp's call center, or it could be OctoHelp's, and then if there's another group with the start of that name, then we can see both. That one works, whichever one you want. All right, now if we run it, we'll go from 149 records, hopefully to a little bit more than that. But as you scroll down, you will see the assignment group and the state do match what our filters are. So we now have 158 records. All right. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go to the save option. You'll notice that we have save and then we have a drop down. If we click save, what'll happen is we're going to get a message. Yeah, go ahead and click save. We'll have a message that says that you've created a report created. And now we would want to further define availability of this report. The buttons that appear to the left of save include an I button, that's information. So if we put a description for the report, it would provide you that information there. So click on that and we should see a description field. We can enter a description so that we can give some context to this report. All right. The other option we have, I'll skip the share for a moment, is that trash can. When you create a report, you have the ability to delete that report. If you're an administrator, you can delete any reports. The share button in between the information and the trash bin is where we have the ability to share our report. So two options appear. Now this list of sharing options will change depending on your permissions. An administrator will have the ability to share the report and also schedule the report. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to add this to the dashboard. So let's click Add to Dashboard. And our dashboard, the one we've created, is on the list. If you click on the drop down, you'll see a list of dashboards that you can add this report to. So we've only created this one. That's the only one we can do this to. So that's why, in the grand scheme of things, I wanted to show how to create a dashboard first. So since there's two tabs, we're going to show that we can add this report to either the incidents tab or the UR tab. Since this is an incident report, we're going to pick incidents. And when you click add, it's going to take us immediately to the dashboard to show us the result of that add. All right, I saw a number of chat come up, so I'm going to stop for a second to see if anybody has any questions before we continue. No questions?
Yes, so we have, sorry about that. The question we have is under configure, there was a sign behind manager plus manager. Does that mean that we can drill down even further to add manager's name?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we can. All right, so let's go back to reports. All right, so when you click on View Run, at this point, we have the report that we've just created, and you'll see that pencil there. So there were a couple of questions on like different states, and I think Ken answered them. All you have to do is do or, just like we did with the assignment group. So assignment group is A or assignment group is B. You can do state is A or state is B. Another option, and I'll show you this option. Let's go to the report itself, and it may actually be easier than using or. Click on the filter. And instead of is, we'll say is one of. Now you can pick as many of these as you want. So you can use the control button and you could say in progress. Click control, not on hold. We'll do in progress and resolved. I want to show a skip. Use the control button when you click on the next one. Control, keep the control button down. Click on that one. You're not using the control button. Click on the control button and then select in progress. There you go. So now click run. And now it's either or. So you don't have to use the or button. I find that to be fairly useful if there's a number of options that you want to choose from. And that works when there is a list. So now we have in progress, and we should see resolved somewhere on there on one of the pages. Go to the last page. There may be some on there. There we go. All right. So does that help with that question about using multiple states? You don't have to use or, you can use as one of. Yes, if you have the correct permissions. So I'm gonna see if you can log in as someone who has report admin permissions. And I don't know if you can specifically, but there is a way to do it. I just can't show it unless it's part of that person's permissions or roles. From this page or from? All right, so you can export to a PDF from here. There is that sharing option. If you do click on export to PDF, what it's going to do is give you an option. Do you want to orient it to portrait or landscape? And if you know it's going to be a long report, let's say that one that had a couple thousand, you can say send as an email. If you click send as an email, it would prompt you for the email address. You can export to Excel from a list view. I don't know that you can do it from here. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to there. All right. Yeah, the list view from the navigator is going to be your best bet if you want to export information. You would create a custom filter, save it, and then you can export as needed. I'd be more than happy to show you that in a minute if you wanted.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Do you have the capability of impersonating a? From here, I don't think so. It's strictly from the list view. Are we able to show impersonate it as a report admin, or are we not able to do that?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So I wouldn't pick short description necessarily, But as you could see, we can go to a list. We can go to export based on the vertical ellipsis from any of these fields. And one of the options under export should be Excel. So go ahead and click on that. You can click on it. And there's three options. We have bar chart, pie chart, or export. If you pick bar chart or pie chart, it's going to take you to the report console. If you go to export, then clicking Excel will allow you to send it to an Excel spreadsheet. So it can be done from a list view. I don't know that you can enhance the report console to do spreadsheets. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm looking at it. I think you answered all of them.
Okay. So then let's go to
one more, Joseph.
okay.
Deborah from DPW. Can reports be set up to auto run and share a specific date and time?
Yes, but you have to have the schedule permission, which is a report administrator's role.
Got it.
Keep that limited.
All right. So a couple things before we actually create those custom filters. And I know you may be tight on time. I don't mind sticking around a couple extra minutes based on the late start. So just be aware, I'm more than happy to do that if needed. Can we go back? Can we go back to the report console for a moment? Or did someone want to see the Excel result? Oh, you picked a big one. Are we waiting on it to generate? Right. If we're not, let's go to the reports under the navigator bar. Go to all.
Venkatesh? You good to navigate to the reports?
Go to all. On the filter, go to reports. Go back to view run. And one last thing I wanted to cover before we create a custom filter. Let's go to the all list, all reports. Not the ones we've created. Go back to edit report, go to the very beginning, and go to the list of all reports. Far left side below the dc.gov logo, there's an arrow. Click the arrow to the left of the word edit. Okay, click view run from there. View run. I think it's because it's trying to run the 4,000 report, 4,000 record report.
Joe, I think there's
Yes.
a Teams refresh issue. The page is not getting refreshed. I've been navigating based on what you are saying, but it's still in the. We even tried stop sharing and sharing again. That didn't do it. I think it's a Teams issue.
Okay.
Let me try one last time, okay?
All right. There was a question about a job aid on this. There is a PowerPoint presentation that was created for this.
What is the question?
There was a question about a job aid for this, and I said there's a PowerPoint that was created that when it's finalized will be made available. Okay. So under the all option, when it's finalized, it'll be made available. All right, so you'll notice that there's a pencil next to all of the reports, whether you're the creator of that or not. Go ahead and pick the one that says admin at the bottom. Admin is the created by. I want to use that one. It's the third from the bottom, I think. The third report from the bottom. Created by admin. Click on that one. The pencil. Not the ones that Kiara created. The one that says admin is created by.
Yeah. For some reason, it's not refreshing.
So nothing, you're not able to click on the pencil on the, is because it's not
No,
refreshing?
Joe, actually, the page is not refreshing. It is kind of stuck up in that one little report list. So I think it's a Teams issue. Let me try sharing again one last time. Can you see I'm right now on the report console. This is the report we edited, created by the admin. Joe, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. I was looking at it. It's all right. So when you open up a report that is not created by you, you won't see a save option. Instead, what you see is that little drop down. Little drop down to the left of the run button will imply that you can create a copy of a report. So insert will allow you to copy a report. Insert and stay will allow you to copy the report, and you'll remain in the report to do the whatever changes you wanted to. The other thing that I wanted to show, so this is a protection. It doesn't allow non-report admins to overwrite existing reports. If we go back to edit report to the very beginning and pick one of Kiara's reports, there's one last thing that I wanted to show you. Picking one of those that have been created, we'll do the one that I did. One of the other options that I had mentioned was the data source. So click on the drop down where it says save. You should see, oh, I'm sorry, I don't see it there. Go to the share button. Oh, I think I know why. Only report admins can create data sources, so that's why it's not showing up. There is an option to save your filter. The filter would be all state equals resolved, assignment group equals so on and so forth, and you can save as a data source. But unless you're a report admin, you can't do that. So I can't demonstrate that part there. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to try to touch on, and I don't have a lot of time to do this, but I'll do what I can for you. Go to all on the tabs on the far left-hand side. Go to incident, type incident in the filter. And select open unassigned. Whenever you pick up a filter, you can modify that filter by clicking on the little filter icon. We can add complexity to this. Go to the filter
Joe,
icon.
what are we trying to show here?
I'm going to create a custom filter and save it. So go ahead and click and we're going to say assignment group is. And pick OAG service desk just to pick the one that I see on the screen there. When you click run, you should have your list. And it disappeared. I no longer see the shared screen. I no longer see a screen. All right. So after creating a custom filter, if you click save, it will allow you to save the name of this custom filter, and you can use it in the future. Just type in the name test for now. After you type or click save, Go to the hamburger button to the left of the filter. Go to filters and you'll see the one that we've just created. So you now have access to this custom filter for as long as you want it. Okay. And then from here, you can export reports at any time based on need. I know we're out of time. I just wanted to see if anybody has any questions before we close this out. All right. With that, I appreciate your time, consideration, and patience. I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Well, thank you for facilitating this training for us, Joseph. Joseph, again, is with New Rocket. I appreciate it. I want to apologize first and foremost